Okay, now we have a new chapter of the Bakemonogatari manga. Um, the last one was really, really good. A really, really good chapter, and the one before that was a really, really good chapter. So I am more and more and more impressed with this manga. Um, I'm also now reading some Monogatari light novels. I'm reading the translation of Nisei Monogatari right now. It's quite fun. And for the heck of it, maybe I'll start rewatching it too, and have the three medium Monogatari Blitz. Can I go even further? Is there like an audio drama disc I can listen to? Is there a live action adaptation? I don't think so. Um, how many more Monogatari mediums can I take part in? Anyways, so the Hachikuchi arc is over for the most part. She's returned to her home. She had this wonderful little ghost celebration that no one could really see, but the meaning of was quite clear. And then she evaporated into a million glittering petals. And I think she just comes back. I couldn't quite remember what happens in other mediums depicting this. A lot of this seemed unfamiliar to me, but it would have been quite a while since I had read it or watched it. So I don't know. Maybe it's fine. I just assume and hope that she comes back as a character in the manga adaptation too. I like this bow on her little home. She's returned to the place her feeling resides. It's very pretty. And the flowers in the wind. It's about time for me to head back home too. I'm on duty for today's day. Hanging out with Sanjogahara. His girlfriend, perhaps? The girl that recently just confessed to him? Can his brain even process it? You were quite cool back there. Considering the sort of we're talking about, but you were quite cool back there. Nice! Good job, good job. And the blimp flying overhead. I don't know what the heck is going on here. It's so cool, the way that this differs from the Shaft adaptation of the series. Where they both have, like, they're super stylized and they're super kind of diegesis breaking in their constant use of like kind of diagrams showing what's happening and stuff. But whereas the Shaft one often goes for like minimalism and iconography and stuff, here it's usually like an overload of detail and of like a very visually complex image. Like here you can see like the logo on his t-shirt, the logo on the blimp, this giant shopping center and all the signs. It's really cool, like the two different ways they can kind of have the same sort of effect. Whereas in the Monogatari series, I bet this would be like a very strangely lit building. The Zeppelin would be like kind of mirrored with the Zeppelin that's in Araragi's room. You know, it would have this kind of like unreal symmetry happening in the shot. The characters might just be in silhouettes, or maybe the background would be in silhouette. Um, there would maybe be some completely blank panels that everyone would complain about because they're Philistines and don't understand art. Just kidding. Anyways, secret trick with her familiar to the area. Definitely haven't been able to do it either. Aragi trying to give her some of the credit. I'm surprised when her mother's home turned out to be an empty plot of land. Here you can see the kanji for empty, sky, air, and other such things. And this other one that we didn't cover earlier today in those kanji videos, but this one means like land, like a defined area of land. She moved out. She was unable to endure the pain of hearing the news of what happened to her one and only daughter. Mirakuru Kushokuse or something. This is the name of the real estate company that I'm trying to read, but whatever. It'd be true, but in the first place, we don't even know if her mother is still alive, after all. In reality, Hanakawa, also from this area, right? Because her and Senjogahara went to the same middle school. So she might have known about it. Might have known that Tsunade family moved after the tragedy. Would have noticed the true form of Hajikuji. Would have understood just about everything that was happening. She knows everything, or she knows what she knows. You really shouldn't make Senjogahara-san worry about you. Might even be better than that, Oshino, when it comes to the ability of seeing through things. This is a cool shot of Araragi. deep in shadow as he realizes once again the true terror of Hanekawa. Oh man, I just love the characterization in this series. The light novel, I think, brings it out the least subtly, but in a way that's like very entertaining. The when they kind of talk about like the reputations of the characters and stuff, and how in many ways Hanekawa, who like kind of appears to be one of the more normal characters, is one of the few characters that isn't just inherently supernatural in some sort of way, and yet is actually perhaps like the most terrifying entity of them all, just in her extreme competence. Hanekawa definitely didn't want to interfere with my meddling. She didn't want to interfere with Hajikuji. Wow, let's go story! Oh my god, I love this art so much. Oh, it's so great. I want to interfere with Senju Gahara as well. And this icon of Senju Gahara with like the crab twin tails. Oh, 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 this is brilliant. Oh, this is brilliant. Aragi's cheeky demonic grin and his little bat wings. It's so great. I can't wait to see how they depict Shinobu in this. I bet Shinobu is just going to be so crazy in this sort of medium. It's just the kind of person Hanekawa is. Ah, ah, I'm so glad they did this. When I first saw that they were making a manga of this series, I was like, what's the point? What's the point? It can't possibly measure up to the Shaft adaptation. No, this is so great. It's just such a fun story. It's all about justice. Fair towards anyone. Felt like I saw something. Ooh, ooh. So for some reason, any kind of line that's like that, it always makes me think of Pink Floyd's Comfortably Numb. When I was a child, I caught a fleeting glimpse out of the corner of my eye. I turned to look, but it was gone. I cannot put my finger on it now. I can't remember the next line. This is not how I am, or something like that. Just that idea of like, suddenly you're just on the cusp of realizing something. Something is just in the corner of your eye. And you're like, oh, wait a minute. But you can't quite grasp it. I felt like I saw something. Woo, isn't that good? Might be a wall that exists on the other side, a wall that's distant very far away on the horizon. I didn't understand the distance between the two of us. If we're both lost inside a maze. Another wonderful, wonderful panel. I love this sort of like almost kind of psychedelic texture that the artist obviously uses some sort of digital effect to achieve, but it's really well done. Yeah, man, just the characterization of this series. It's like brilliant to have Araragi be the narrative voice, and have him be the type of person who's always kind of in awe and gushing over the superhumans that are in his life, because it gives like a very, in one sense, unreliable and kind of like colored narration of these characters, which is quite entertaining. But it also justifies you just very directly and repeatedly drawing attention to how extreme your characters are and how interesting they are and how interesting all the ways that they jive together are. That's good. That's good. I wish I could achieve that. I wish it was as easy as it looks, because it's not. It's very hard to write about your own characters and how interesting they are in a way that doesn't sound very kind of flat, self-serving, or kind of setting yourself up too royally, expectations too high, etc., etc. There's the blimp going overhead, a nice little surreal touch to all of this. But now I understand. If there's a rezoning going on inside my heart, being fair towards anyone meant that you're not on anyone's side. For now, the hesitation inside me is finally over. Hesitation is written as my own. Ah, okay. Cute, cute, cute. Now this is kind of foreshadowing that maybe you can't be loyal to everyone all the time. That the extreme nature of all these friends you've made could eventually call them into conflict with each other. Nice, just a little bit of foreshadowing. Nothing too overt. Person in front of this path right now. I still haven't received your reply yet. To, of course, again, one of the best depicted confessions I've ever seen in any medium. Let's look at it again. Here it comes. It's not loading. Oh, it's not loading. No, it's not loading. I thought that it was because I was me, but then today I realized it's because you're you. Oh, it's so good. I don't think those lines exist, actually. I looked for them before, remember? I went too far. It's page 15. One more thing. I love you. Oh, oh, that's so good. Okay, anyways. But what is his response? I mean, of course I know because I've seen this depicted so many times before. In those kind of circumstances, you might have mixed up a favor with other emotions. We're talking about that absurd law where both women and men are prone to have romantic feelings under dangerous circumstances. The what's that called? The rickety bridge effect or something. They talk about it in some length at another time. Completely ignoring something called human reasoning. In such a case, that person's true nature is exposed without paying any attention to the extreme, vicious atmosphere among peers. Misattribution of arousal. Do you find people who convince on a bridge that's about to collapse at any time quite stupid? Yes, yes. And it's actually quite an interesting phenomenon that it's sort of like a symptomatic backwash where you have certain symptoms that happen when you're deeply in love, you're fully infatuated, the heart beating, the adrenaline pumping, the super clarity of focus. But then those also happen in situations of extreme stress. And it's easy in situations where there's like a strong stressor and then a mild attractor to mix it up and think the stress is irrelevant and you've just got a very strong attraction. Don't make that mistake. You'll be so embarrassed when the bridge doesn't collapse and now you're stuck. This is a nice little depiction. Kind of a Fukumoto-esque depiction, I would say. A little break into this little archetypical reality or something. Feeling rather out of sorts. Feels like you're trying to impose a favor on me. Said you wanted to return the favor. Yeah, but that's just a pretext. I'll give you the chance to take the initiative. Thought I'd make you confess to me, so I tried to play dumb. The fact that she admits all this, too. Move over, Kaguya-sama. Don't you see this is the real path? It's not who confesses first loses, but whoever can explain the whole situation and all of its meta layers and details. That person can't possibly lose. As if you admit to everything and put all of your plans out in the forefront, that's when you achieve enlightenment. You let go of such a precious opportunity. No, you'll never see me making someone look good ever again. Reality, I don't feel indebted to you. Is that so? He's like, maybe you should. Let's see if we can read some signs here. Oh, Boro. There's one missing. I don't know what it says. And then over here, prohibited fishing area. Prohibited fishing area region. Something like that. After all, Aragin is someone who'd go and help anyone regardless. I'm okay with that side of yours. I don't know, there's something I find so enthralling about that switch. And of course, I kind of made up these lines, but they stick with me. I thought it was because I'm me, and then I realized it's because you're you. That's so great. That's like so great. That recognizing the true nature of someone and falling in love with it. And that falling in love and that revelation happening simultaneously. That's so wonderful. I don't know. I don't know. And since I only see you helping Hanakawa-san from the outside, I think I'll develop special feelings towards you, Araki-kun. Turned out to be an exaggerated way of saying it, but if I had to say, Araki-kun, I enjoy talking with you. That's all. That's all there needs to be. What else do you want from a relationship? Just getting along well. Well, actually, there's a lot of things you can want. A very good friend of mine gave me some great advice recently that I thought was quite insightful. That relationships are all about the very, very big things and the very, very small things. that you should be able to agree or at least understand each other on the subject of major lifestyle choices, how you want to live your life, kids, house, location, things like that. And then you should also be able to just enjoy each other's company on the very day-to-day things. All the very little things, the tiny granularities that make up life. You should enjoy your time together for those. And then the stuff in the middle, your hobbies, your interests, how you like to spend more free time type things outside of obligations, those don't actually matter so much. And I was like, okay, that's kind of cool because all of my hobbies and interests are really weird. And it gave me pause to think because I think I focus and a lot of people focus too much on just the big picture, right? And then they kind of like work their way down from there and be like, oh, okay, well, thank God we agree on whatever the kid's situation is and whatever the resident situation is. But then she loves watching movies and I love reading books. You know, there's such a cultural clash, it's never going to work out. But really, the next important thing isn't just the next step down in how much it occupies your life. It's like near the bottom again. It's this sort of granularity. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, this is a bit of a tangent, but I think the way that relationships and Senjokuhara and Araragi's relationship in Monogatari is depicted quite interestingly and in a way that I think has some good insights and lessons for real life. And maybe by saying that I've revealed just what a clueless asocial nerd I am, but yeah. We haven't even talked with each other that much yet. Monday, Tuesday, and today. Yeah. We've only been together a short time. That's why I want to talk more. I want to talk with you more. In order to know much about time. In order for me to fall in love with you. It's not love at first sight. It's not something as cheap as that. I'm not patient enough just to invest my time for the preliminary arrangements. It says, oh right. I want your cooperation so that I can like you. Something like that. Okay, that's a neat idea. That's a nice idea. Because this is something else that's always bugged me, is the speed at which people seem to want to transition into like a relationship. Like people meeting each other for the express purpose of dating through things like dating sites and stuff, or through friends or whatever. I never got the appeal of that. Like that doesn't really make sense to me. I'm much more of the route of like you meet someone with no pretenses and no plans, just circumstantially, and then you get to know them, and then after you really feel like you know them, then you can actually feel like you could like them, right? I don't understand how you like someone without really getting to know them first, and yet there's I guess like this idea of like give me the opportunity to allow me to begin to like you. Yeah, there's something to that. I guess that's what dating is actually supposed to be. Man, I don't know. The Zeppelin flies overhead again. How lovely. Isn't the feeling of liking something essentially a really positive thing? Yeah. I see. That's also a thing, huh? There's no avoiding it now, Araragi. She's chessmated you. There's no outs. You gotta make your choice now. So you know I'm quite avaricious. Doing it anyways, I want nothing but the ultimate result. If you reflect on, it's because you're kind towards anyone you experience this kind of thing. Think of it this way, you got yourself involved with a malignant girl, a girl who's starving for attention, who falls in love with anyone who treats her just a bit kindly. Now this comes up a bit later in a scene that I just read not too long ago, involving her feelings towards Daishu Kaiki, the best girl in Monogatari. But you know, we'll come to that when we come to that. I don't know if this is really foreshadowing. It's not really a major plot point or anything, but it is something I find quite interesting in the way they kind of handle it. Fortunately, being eyed up by a girl who has mental issues and easily falls in love. Is this supposed to appeal to him? Is this like her bet that because of his kind of natural, kind of kind and protective and selfless spirit, that he will fall head over heels over the idea of a girl that is messed up in this way? If so, that's a little devious, and the very fact that she plots this way itself, I think, is proof enough that what she's saying is true. So, will it work? Will it work? What is Araragi's response? Araragi can reject my offer, I'll just kill you and run away. That says it all. She is truly an interesting person. So, alright, just one thing. I've been giving you conditions. Can I ask you to promise me one thing instead? Frame built by my rules is getting invaded and destroyed shamelessly. And this is a kind of a reference to the character of Araragi that exists before the series starts that we only kind of get to understand later. And it's exemplified by the one line that I think maybe they referenced earlier of the more friends you have, the weaker you become as a human being. This idea that he wants to become kind of solitarily strong on his own, capable of anything on his own, and that this armor that he's built up around himself is now completely crumbling away by the aggressiveness of Senjo Gahara. It's quite an interesting idea. It's kind of an interesting philosophy, sort of an intensely stoic, isolationist resolve. But in the end, you know, it's maybe not so good. I also think this image, and this is kind of a benefit maybe that the artist here gets to have, you know, like Shaft, when they adapted this, Owari wasn't out yet. When this was written, though, when this manga was written, Owari was definitely out. And I mention that because of a certain samurai-looking character that shows up in Owari. I don't want to spoil it for you if you're watching this and you haven't kind of caught up on the whole series, but there's kind of a parallel here, maybe. It's kind of a... It's interesting. It's interesting. Pretending you can see something you can't see. Pretending you can't see something you can see. I don't want any more of that. Yeah. This is something that troubled him when Senju Gahara finally admitted that she couldn't see Hachikuchi, and that she was worried because she thought, again, and this is another amazing example, she thought at first it was because she was her instead of he being him. Like, she was the weird one for not being able to see her instead of Araragi being the weird one for being able to see her. And yeah, don't want anything more of that. Stop that kind of worrying. For opinions cast, let's talk to each other. Time being, won't you put your answer into words? It'd be nice if that actually cut. Senju Gahara. Captivation. And these flowers blooming among ribbons or hair or something in this panel is really beautiful. That's really, really nice. Bewitched upon seeing that smile. So good. So good, so good, so good. Oh my gosh, I love this series. And here is our first shot of Shinobu. So, oh, this is a different artist. Oh, Nanashi. This is the artist that does, like, Nagatoro and stuff like that. And other things that are kind of like that, but much, 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 much more extreme. Anyways, we will eagerly await the next chapter. Actually, I think there's a few more out, so hopefully we'll read those soon. This is the end of Volume 3. We're moving into Volume 4. The next arc, of course, is Monkey Time. We are going to have a blast with Kanbaru, some crazy fight scenes that I can't wait to see illustrated by this amazingly talented artist. Yeah, this is great. Thank you, of course, to... what's your team called? Kimomochi? No, Hatigaram scans. They've got a little recruitment page. Please check them out if you have time to spare and you'd like to work on a scanlation project. I'm sure this is a very difficult one to work on because the art is so intricate. The translation, I'm sure, is very tricky with the way that Misiosen writes. So I'm sure they would love any support, and it would be there's nothing nobler than contributing your time to a scanlation project. Do I believe that? I don't know. I'm saying it. There's nothing in this world that's nobler than that. Aragi-san says, Sechuhara Tore. Discussion fooling around. Use Tore instead of Moe. One level higher than Moe. Nice, nice. Okay, I totally missed that. I totally missed that callback. That's cool. Alright, good translation notes. See? What a good translation team. Get yourself involved. Okay, that's all for now. We will read chapter 22 at some point soon.